As high as honour. Who was the winged knight that founded this powerful dynasty? What role have they played throughout the entire history of Westeros? And what will be the fate of their current lord, Sweet Robin? This is the history of House Arryn. House Arryn are the lords paramount of the Vale. Their seat is the Eyrie, a grand castle of white marble sitting atop the Giant's Lance. For their sigil they boast a blue falcon soaring across a white moon upon a blue sky. They are a large family with various branches, including the wealthy Arryns of Goldtown. Their roots can be traced across the narrow sea to Andalos, the land of the Andals. They may even be descended from the ancient Andal king Hugor of the Hill, who, according to the seven-pointed star, was crowned by the father and granted a fertile wife by the mother and the maid. When the Andals invaded the Vale thousands of years prior to the main books, the Bronze King Robar II Royce united the First Men houses, with marriages, land and gold, to fight back. Houses Redfort, Upcliff, Hunter, Belmore, Coldwater and Shet rallied to his cause. In response, the Andals united behind the winged knight, a great warrior named Sir Artis Arryn. To him came houses Corbray, Grafton, Rothermont, Templeton and Tollet. The war came to its head at the Battle of the Seven Stars, where King Robar slaughtered Sir Artis, but alas it was a decoy he killed. As Torgold Tollet broke the First Men lines, the real Sir Artis attacked from the rear. King Robar was slain, potentially by the winged knight himself, and the First Men houses bent the knee to their new ruler, Artis I, King of Mountain and Vale. The Vale became known as the Vale of Arryn. Those First Men who refused to bend the knee fled to the Mountains of the Moon, where their descendants would later roam as savage clansmen. Some claim that the Winged Knight is also the Falcon Knight, a legendary figure within First Man mythology who slew the Griffin King atop the Giant's Lance. These stories date back to the Age of Heroes, thousands of years before the coming of the Andals, so they're probably not true. The Arryns lived at the Gates of the Moon until King Artus's grandson, Roland I, grew sick of its ugliness. He ordered the construction of the Eyrie, and, at the behest of his future wife Tiora Hunter, decided that the Marble Palace belonged atop the Giant's Lance mountain. Roland reigned for 26 years until he was ambushed by the Painted Dogs clan, and murdered. His bellicose son, Roland II, cared little for constructing castles. His passions were warfare and wenching, which eventually came to its inevitable end when his forces were shattered by the rivermen of King Tristopher IV Mud. Roland was beheaded at Old Stones by Tristopher himself. His younger brother was crowned King Robin I, and he continued to work on the Erie's construction. The Arryns would later live in this palace, with the Gates of the Moon to be commanded by a non-hereditary succession of loyal keepers. There is a long list of fascinating kings of Vale and Mountain. Osric V ordered the Bloody Gate to be rebuilt into a glorious fortress, commanded by a Knight of the Bloody Gate. Hugh the Fat annexed the Isle of Pebble, his grandson Hugo the Hopeful annexed the Isle of the Paps, and Alistair II brought Witch Isle under his kingship, not by violence, but by marrying Lady Arwen Upcliff. 1,000 years of war exploded between the Vale and the North, when a Stark king led a brutal invasion of the Three Sisters Islands. It is claimed the Northmen were especially brutal. One Lord Balthazar Bolton supposedly created a pink pavilion from the flayed skins of 100 natives. The sistermen begged King Mathos II Arryn for aid, in return for his overlordship. His wife questioned his call to arms, but Mathos replied, "I would sooner have a pirate than a wolf for my neighbour." He never returned from the war. The Starks and Arryns fought long and hard over these islands. At one point, King Osgood the Old Falcon besieged the Wolf's Den in the north, and his son King Oswin the Talon burned it to the ground. The final king of Mountain and Vale was Ronald Arryn, the king who flew. He was a child during Aegon's conquest, and his mother Shara ruled the Vale as Queen Regent. Shara sought to utilise her great beauty by sending a portrait of herself to the Targaryen invader, offering her hand in marriage in exchange for Ronald becoming Aegon's heir. Unsurprisingly, this was refused. Lord Daemon Velaryon was ordered to seize the Vale city of Goldtown, accompanied by Queen Visenya on Vhagar. Daemon and the Targaryen ships were destroyed by the Arryn fleet, which in turn was burned by the furious Visenya. Queen Shara amassed the army of the Vale at the Bloody Gate, ready for war with the invaders, but then she saw Vhagar flying to the Eyrie. She found her son on Visenya's lap, begging for a dragon ride. Shara bent the knee. Ronald flew on Vhagar's back as a king and landed as a mere Lord Paramount. When Aegon the Conqueror died at the end of his 37-year reign, the realm exploded into rebellion. Ronald's younger brother, Jonos Arryn, launched a coup against his kin and named himself King Jonos of Mountain and Vale. Lord Allard Royce besieged the Eyrie, but Jonos responded by throwing his brother from the Moon Door. The plotters were not so arrogant when Prince Maegor Targaryen arrived at the Eyrie upon Balerion the Black Dread. The rebels panicked, turned on Jonos, and threw him through the moon door to his death. Maegor was merciful to the plotters, because instead of burning them alive, he merely hanged them. Ronald and Jonos' cousin, Hubert Arryn, became the new Lord of the Eyrie, marrying a lady from House Royce and siring 6 sons. One Lord Darnold Arryn ruled during the reign of King Jaehaerys I, until he and his brother Sir Raymond were slain by mountain clansmen. He was succeeded by his 10-year-old nephew, Roderick. The young lord grew into a just ruler, beloved by his people, and eventually served as one of Jaehaerys' master of laws. When Princess Daela Targaryen turned 16, she was given the choice of suitor, and she chose the kindly Roderick, by now a widower. He had 2 daughters by his first marriage, Lady Ellis, who disliked her new stepmother and mocked her for being overly emotional, and Lady Amanda, who wrote letters on behalf of the soft-witted princess. Daela sadly died giving birth to Aemma Arryn. Aemma, of course, went on to become Queen Aemma, the loving wife of King Viserys I, and mother of Princess Rhaenys, the realm's delight, and the ruler of the Blacks during the Dance of the Dragons. An unnamed Lord Arryn and his sons were slaughtered by Stonecrows in 97 AC. You would think they would know better by now. This lord was succeeded by his 3-year-old daughter, Lady Jane. Yorbert Royce ruled as her regent and Lord Protector of the Vale, attending the Great Council of 101 on her behalf, although we don't know which candidate House Arryn officially voted for. Because Aemma Arryn was married to Viserys, they probably voted for Viserys. As you've probably noticed, the Royces are powerful bannermen of the Arryns. You can learn more about this rune-obsessed First Man house in this video. As a woman, Jane's inheritance was hotly contested. Her cousin Sir Arnold twice tried to rise up against her. The second time he was thrown in a sky cell, where he slowly went insane, and his descendants were disinherited from the Arryn succession. When she was 21 years old, Prince Daemon Targaryen arrived at the Eyrie. His wife Rhea Royce had tragically passed away after falling off a horse, and the rogue prince wanted runestone for himself. Jane refused and kicked him out of the Vale. There are conflicting reports of the lady's sexuality. The salacious fool Mushroom claimed she had a voracious appetite for young men, while other rumours suggested she preferred women. In particular, a dear companion named Jessamine Redfort. This next chapter will deal with the Targaryen civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons. To avoid potential spoilers for the future of House of the Dragon, skip to the next chapter in the video. You have been warned. When the Dance of the Dragons broke out, Prince Jaehaerys Velaryon travelled to the Vale to foster allies. Although Lady Jane despised Daemon, she acknowledged that Rhaenyra was her cousin, and stated that, in this world of men, we women must band together. Or, if you believe Mushroom, Jace convinced her with a different kind of oratory skill, although Mushroom is definitely bullshitting. On Jane's Arryn's orders, the Vale joined the Blacks. Rhaenyra sent her son Joffrey and his dragon Tyraxes to the Eyrie, to deter any potential green invasion of the Vale, and to put the prince in a safe place. Daemon's daughter, Rhaena, joined him. Meanwhile, Lady Jane sent forces by sea to join Queen Rhaenyra's host. After Rhaenyra's death, Jane assembled an army of 8,000 men-at-arms and 1,500 knights to march to King's Landing in opposition to Aegon II. After Aegon's assassination, Lady Jane served as one of 7 regents for the young King Aegon III. She eventually returned to the Vale, but in 134 AC developed a chest cold in Goldtown. Jane, unmarried and childless, died in the arms of Jessamine Redfort, her close friend and perhaps her lover. Jane's distant cousin Sir Joffrey Arryn, the Knight of the Bloody Gate, had already been named as her heir, but while the Seven Kingdoms had wrapped up its civil war, a new one was about to break out in the Vale. Sir Arnold Arryn, the Mad Heir, had a cunning son named Eldrick, who pressed his father's claim to the Eyrie. Many lords, including Gunthor Royce, did not respect the whims of a dying woman, and rallied behind Arnold and Eldrick. To add to the chaos, Lord Isambard Arryn, the Gilded Falcon of the Goldtown branch, also pressed a claim, using his wealth to hire sellswords and bribe minor lords to join his cause. One of Aegon III's regents, Sir Corwyn Corbray, declared Joffrey the rightful lord of the Eyrie on behalf of the Iron Throne. Isambard was imprisoned and Sir Eldrick was executed. Sir Arnold, however, fled to Runestone. Corwyn arrived at the castle, but when he drew his Valyrian steel sword against Lord Royce, he was slain by a crossbow bolt. This act of treason triggered a full-scale war. Houses Royce, Templeton, Tollett, Coldwater and Dutton supported the Mad Heir, while houses Corbray, Redfort and Hunter rallied behind Sir Joffrey. The Velaryons attacked the rebels by sea, while Sir Robert Rowan led a host against Lord Benjicott Blackwood. The winter snows and the vicious clansmen slowed their advance, and Sir Robert met his fate under a heavy boulder. Eventually, the Lords of the Vale were forced to bend the knee to Lord Joffrey Arryn. Lord Isambard was eventually released, and appointed as Master of Coin by Aegon III's hand, Lord Torrin Manderley. Together they reformed tax laws after the collapse of the Rogaire Bank. During the reign of King Daeron II, the Vale was ruled by Lord Donal Arryn, who rallied his people against the rebellious King Daemon Blackfyre in 196 AC. He marched his army to the Redgrass Field and bravely led the vanguard against the Blackfyre foes. The vanguard was almost shattered until Egwene Corbray arrived with reinforcements, and the Blackfyres were defeated. 13 years later, the Seven Kingdoms were hit by the Great Spring Sickness. Lord Donal ordered the Vale to be sealed off from trade and traffic by sea and road, stopping it from spreading into his territory. Another Arryn of note is Lady Alice, who married the troubled Prince Rhaegal Targaryen. She bore him 3 children, the twins Aelor and Aelora, and a daughter named Daenora. Their fates were rather tragic. Aelor was accidentally killed by his twin, although we don't know how, and she went mad with grief and later took her own life, while Daenora married Aerion Brightflame, the insane prince infamous for killing himself by drinking wildfire. One Lord Jasper Arryn proved to be the father of one of the most important Arryns in history. His children were Jon, Alice, and Ronal. Jon was the keeper of the Gates of the Moon for his father. His marriages were tragic. His first wife, Jane Royce, died in childbirth. His second wife and cousin, Rowena Arryn, died of a winter chill without birthing any children. Jon was one of many lords fighting in the War of the Ninepenny Kings in 260, also known as the 5th Blackfyre Rebellion. He forged alliances with both Lord Rickard Stark and Lord Steffon Baratheon, and would later take their respective sons, Eddard and Robert, to the Eyrie as his wards. His brother, Ronal, wed a Lady Belmore and sired one son, Elbert Arryn, who Jon named as his official heir after Ronal died of a bad belly. Her sister Alice wed Sir Ellis Waynwood, and they had 9 children together, 1 son and 8 daughters. Their only son Jasper was kicked to death by a horse when he was just 3 years old. Their oldest daughter married Sir Dennis Arryn, the darling of the Vale, who hailed from a poorer branch of the house, and was considered next in line after Elbert. Dennis was appointed Keeper of the Gates of the Moon. 3 of Alice Arryn's daughters caught the pox as children. 2 died, while the 3rd survived and became a scarred scepter. Another daughter was seduced by a charismatic sellsword who gave her a bastard child. The bastard died young, and she joined the Silent Sisters. One daughter married Lord Elisham of the Paps, but proved to be barren. Another was betrothed to a Bracken, but was kidnapped by burnt men while travelling to the Riverlands. Arryns really need to sort this problem out. The youngest daughter married a landed knight of House Harding, a vassal of the Waynwoods. She died after giving him a son, Sir Harold Harding, who will gain importance 19 years later. After Lyanna Stark was kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen, Brandon Stark and his party, including Elbert Arryn, rode to King's Landing. The Mad King, of course, had them arrested and executed. He sent a letter to Lord Jon, demanding that he execute his wards Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon. Jon, naturally, refused the insane command, raising his banners in revolt along with the North and Stormlands. Not all of his vassals proved loyal. Lord Mark Grafton of Goldtown raised his banners for the Targaryens, and so Jon and Robert seized the city. To bring the Riverlands into the rebellion, Lord Jon agreed to marry Lord Hostertully's daughter, the young Lysa, who he married at Riverrun. Sir Dennis Arryn also fought in the war, specifically at the Battle of the Bells, where he was tragically slain by Lord John Connington. Jon Arryn himself fought at the Battle of the Trident, which heralded the death of Prince Rhaegar. After the sack of King's Landing and the death of the Mad King, Robert Baratheon became Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and he appointed Jon Arryn as his loyal hand. As Hand of the King, Jon Arryn tried to placate Dorne. He returned the bones of Prince Lewin Martell to Sunspear, and brokered a peace with Prince Doran Martell himself. He also helped negotiate King Robert's marriage to Cersei Lannister, and advised him to keep Sir Jaime Lannister on the Kingsguard to appease Lord Tywin. In fact, Jon proved to be the king in all but name, running the realm while Bobby B did his own thing. Back at the Eyrie, Nestor Royce, the Keeper of the Gates of the Moon, ruled the Vale in his stead as High Steward. Jon Arryn struggled to have children with his wife Lysa, until at last she gave him a sickly boy, Robert Arryn. Although there is a theory that Robert Arryn may actually be Peter Baelish's secret bastard. Check out this video by Glidus to learn more. Regardless, Baelish persuaded Lysa to poison her husband with the deadly Tears of Lys. Maester Coleman tried to help, but was sent away by Grand Maester Pycelle, who assumed the poisoning was the doing of the Lannisters. After all, Jon was close to discovering the secret of Cersei's incestuous infidelity. In fact, Jon Arryn's final words were, "The seed is strong," in reference to the Baratheon bloodline. Jon Arryn died, and his son Robert became the new Lord of the Vale. King Robert wanted his namesake to be raised by Tywin at Casterly Rock and toughened up, but Lysa instead took him back to the Eyrie. We first meet Lord Robert Arryn, nicknamed Sweet Robin, in A Game of Thrones. He is a small, sickly child, coddled and spoiled by his mentally unstable regent mother, who provides him with a very specific kind of beverage. Nestor Royce continues to serve as High Steward of the Vale and Keeper of the Gates of the Moon, while Sir Brynden Tully commands the Bloody Gate. Lysa Arryn is little more than a pawn in Littlefinger's plot to sow chaos throughout the realm. She lies to her sister Catelyn, claiming that the Lannisters poisoned her late husband. When Catelyn takes a captured Tyrion to the Eyrie to face justice, Sweet Robin is eager to see the little man fly through the moon door. He's not a very grounded child. After the War of the Five Kings breaks out, Robb Stark asks his aunt and cousin for aid, but Lysa refuses to join her side. Her uncle Blackfish leaves his post, and Sir Donald Waynwood becomes the new Knight of the Bloody Gate. Eventually, Lysa marries her co-conspirator Peter Baelish, who pushes her out of the moon door and becomes the Lord Regent. Sweet Robin is inconsolable, quickly attaching himself to a surrogate mother, Littlefinger's bastard daughter Elaine Stone, who is actually Sansa Stark in disguise. To help shore up his support, Littlefinger breaks Arryn tradition by granting Nestor Royce the hereditary lordship of the Gates of the Moon, creating a new cadet branch. With the winds of winter blowing, Lord Robert Arryn and the Eyrie household are forced to descend from the chilly heights of the Giant's Lance to the Gates of the Moon. Sweet Robin is sickly and could die at any moment, so who is his heir? That would be his father's sister's daughter's son, Sir Harold Harding, who I mentioned earlier. Harry the heir is handsome, arrogant, and has already sired 2 bastards at 19 years of age, just like me. His first bastard was mothered by a low-born servant named Sissy, while his second unborn bastard belongs to a spice merchant's daughter called Saffron. Littlefinger wants Sansa to marry Harry the heir, assuming he will inevitably succeed poor little Robert Arryn. So what is the fate of House Arryn? In the Winds of Winter sample chapters, Elaine Stone has an idea, an order of 7 bodyguards for Sweet Robin called the Brotherhood of Winged Knights, named after his ancestor Sir Artus. Sweet Robin, of course, wants 8 knights, one more than King Tommen. A tourney is to be held to determine its first members. Meanwhile, Sir Harold displays nothing but rudeness towards Elaine. He later apologises to her, and she dances with him. There are theories aplenty. Littlefinger has been feeding Sweet Robin a gradually increasing dosage of sweet sleep. If the boy were to accidentally overdose, Harry the heir will become Lord Paramount and take the name Harold Arryn. Sansa will marry him, reveal her true identity, and together they will reclaim the North for her. Or maybe, in an ironic twist, Harold Harding will die prematurely, perhaps at the tourney, scuppering Littlefinger's plans. Who knows, the sickly Sweet Robin may just survive the series yet. Maybe he'll have a glow-up like in the show. Maybe he'll crown himself King Robert Arryn of Mountain and Vale like in the Preston Jacobs fanfiction, I think. The future of this proud house remains to be seen, but the winds of winter are blowing, plots are brewing, and pride comes before the fall. For a dynasty that lives atop a mountain, that fall could be very far indeed. What are your thoughts on House Arryn? If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe to Fantasy Haven for more animated A Song of Ice and Fire lore. We've got a Patreon with awesome goodies such as live streams, videos, and art commissions. Let me know if you spotted the high tier patron cameos in this video. We've also got a merch store with mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, all of that good stuff. It all helps to support the channel. If you want to learn more about the real Rhaenys Targaryen, check out this video. Special thanks to all of my patrons, in particular Alex, Andre, Boombler, Caden, Colshot, Devcole, Loopsie, Morphy, and Tovey of House Blackfyre, King of the Andals, the Roynar, the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. See you next time.